Olivia. Thanks for being on Heart of the City.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you here. For those who may not know, Olivia is an amazing artist in town and beyond. She is a muralist, a painter, a visionary, just a true creative, and I just love your style, and I can't wait to dive in and find out more.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, of course. Okay, so you launched full-time into the art world solo, like, what, 3 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
so take us back to, like, 3 years ago. Like, what was going through your mind? What were you doing before? How did you kind of make that leap?
Basically, I was living here. I moved here to Chattanooga in 2020, and I basically I came here and I had been doing leather jackets in New York City. And so when I came here, I was just doing a few of those still. We had some back orders from New York. So I moved here with the guy. I started doing that. And then he was a good photographer. So I started just painting walls in his house. So I painted all the,
that's so cool.
all the walls. And we just, one second, sorry.
No,
I'm just
you're
excited.
Good, you're good. No, take your time. I love it. The excitement is amazing.
I get nervous sometimes, sorry.
No, you're good.
But no, I just started painting all these walls, and we would make these sets, and then I'd put the jackets in there. And he was, so I would kind of we would do these little photo shoots. You can still see there's a big collection of those photos on an Instagram page somewhere. But that's how I got into the mural stuff. And and it was COVID, so we kind of I was just in a good position where I basically was just doing arts and crafts with this guy for 2 years.
Were you dating this guy?
Yeah, I was.
Okay,
and we were living
yeah.
together, so that's and it was fun, and that's kind of how I really. And I came from New York, so when I was in New York, I was living on Wall Street. I was living in Brooklyn. It was just
Oh, wow.
complete opposite. It was grinding it out all the time,
Yeah.
and I was painting jackets for a designer, and it was just I was the only person painting them, so it was it wasn't stressful, but it was just night and day. Now you have all the time in the world.
Yeah.
So and there was really just no force to make a lot of money. So I was in a lucky position for 2 years. I know COVID was not easy for most people, but for me it was just kind of this experimental time. But I also had a New York clientele list from these
Yeah.
jackets, and everything turned from going out and wearing jackets and leather to concerts to then interiors. So I had a lot of that base of my New York clientele wanting paintings for their interior homes because now they were
cool.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of was just for the first 2 years I was here, I just was experimenting because it was a playground of do whatever. I'll photograph it. I was like, sweet.
So cool.
And then just making these paintings and shipping them out. So I also lived right by the post office, so it was
How
great.
fun.
It was
Yeah.
so I first started doing that, and basically I did that for 2 years, and then I started getting bigger projects. Smaller but bigger, but I first, started doing the holiday windows. That was a big thing I did in New York City.
Oh,
So I
cool.
launched it here. I just literally.
So you launched it and then someone reached out, or did you get a gig first?
I
and
got a
then-
gig. I would
Okay.
go door to door.
would
That's
go door to
yeah.
door?
I
I
do
love
that. I did that in New York, and I used to do them for large pop-ups, large.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so I kind of knew, and in New York, people will be very mean to you if you're they're no, I don't want that. So
Get
I was
away from me.
Chattanooga's not. They were nicer, but
Yeah.
people still said no, get
Right.
out. So I was all right. So I just kept going door to door in Fraser because I lived right there, and I did a few of those, and then
Who was your first?
it was River City Apparel.
Cute. I love that.
Yeah, and they
That's
liked
awesome.
it. Yeah, I love them. They're so
That's-
nice.
And good visibility right there. That was
Yes.
smart. Yeah.
Yeah, and so then they actually offered they're hey, do you want to freshen our walls? So that actually turned into a January project. So
Fun.
that was kind of my first mural project here in Chattanooga, which is cool. And then I ended up putting these Dolly Parton paintings in there, and so I was doing okay, I was figuring it out a little bit when I first got here, and then I just part of my story is I was on a lot of prescription pills at the time, and it's it's hard, but it's a lot of people I think are over medicated as
Yeah.
kids, so it's hard to talk about, but
Yeah. No, I'm so glad you're sharing. This is huge.
yeah, it's
Take your time.
sorry.
No, don't be sorry. That's a big part of your story.
Yeah, it just, I don't know if you get to edit some of this stuff. I don't know if you want. It just, yeah, I just basically was I was doing well, but I was also as a kid, like I was put on like ADHD medication,
Yeah.
and it's just like a lot of that stuff adds up, and then you take other stuff to like kind of combat those things. So
Like offset the symptoms
yeah,
from
to offset.
it.
And New York is like a pressure cooker, so it's very common. Like a lot of people,
Everyone's over
yeah,
medicated. Yeah.
you know, like it runs kind of like on Vyvanse and Adderall.
Yeah.
I ran on those things.
Yeah.
So I had to like take a step back, and I was doing well, but like I just like, I meditated one day, and it just, something told me like, this is going to kill you. Cause I was on like a ridiculous amount. Like it was, and I was prescribed it, you know, I didn't drink, I didn't do anything else, but like
Right.
that was the thing. And I just like couldn't get off. So I basically like, I was doing well full time, and I just had to stop. And I just like, I told my boyfriend at the time, like, I gotta get off this stuff. Like, I was on antidepressants, I was on like anti-anxiety, and I was on like a ridiculous amount of Vyvanse. And so I just like pulled the plug and just, I like weaned off. But also like my doctor, like he prescribed it to me for like 10 years. So it's like, he's not gonna like take me off of it. So I just like did it myself, which
You
I don't
had to
recommend.
navigate that yourself. I just can't even imagine.
It was like one of the hardest things, but I just like was enough. Like I have like these meditation cards that I write and I read every day, and it was like the biggest thing was like, get off this stuff.
Wow.
So yeah, I basically had a business, and I was like, I can't grow my business if I'm like reliant on this stuff. So I quit, and that was like, I think it was like 2021.
Olivia,
and it
that
was
is amazing.
It was
I'm
hard.
So
It was
proud of you.
and I slept for about 3 months. So
I bet.
it was a
Your
wild
body
time.
was like full detox mode.
Yeah, it was. So
And thank God you were kind of on your own, because like you probably wouldn't have been able to like hold like some sort of
Yeah.
steady job with high demands, or like it was almost like such a beautiful time that you had the space to like do that for yourself.
oh yeah, it was like everything was perfect. I mean, I lived in
I mean,
New York.
not beautiful in all ways. I'm sure it was really hard
yeah,
and dark.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think, wow, that's amazing.
But no, it was. I had tried to do it a few times in New York, and it just didn't work out. Like I didn't have like the support around me.
Right.
But like in Chattanooga, I was just so lucky. So I basically
Right.
slept for 3 months. I went to All Things Groovy. I got like a crystal. Like this is gonna heal me. It did not, but it was, I still have
Hey,
it. Like
you have it.
yeah.
Yeah, like that's
But-
monumental of
Yeah.
your like time and your story.
And so then that's like the real truth of like how so I was doing well. I
Wow.
couldn't. There was like a glass ceiling up top, and then I did that. And then at the end of like the 3 months, I was like, I need a job, but like I can't work for
Yeah.
myself. So I ended up like I had been an executive assistant in New York, so at a sports marketing agency. So I'm like, I could probably do that. So I looked it up, and there was a marketing agency, creative people, and that job popped up. And
Nice.
so I was like, I'll do that because I can like show up for someone else right now. So I did that for 6 months, and while I did that, I like was totally just like feeling like amazing. And I also was able to, you know, show up and like do my job. And then I had like, you know, all this newfound energy that I, you know, from those 3
Wow.
months of doing nothing to
You
then
were like living for the first time.
Yeah,
you were like
really.
experiencing
Yeah.
what a lot of people get to experience. That's
Yeah.
oh wow.
So it was cool, and it was like, you know, it's like, and just now like navigating like actual emotions, not like this like cloud.
or
and-
like chemical emotions.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
yes.
actually get to experience like real.
Oh. So it was cool. And then it's like I was able to connect to people like really for the first time after like a decade of not. So it was interesting. It was like
Yeah, I'm sure like medications like that, especially when you're over medicated, can be like a barrier. And
Oh,
like
yeah.
so many things like relationships and work and, you know, everything you're trying to pursue. So
Yeah, it was
it's
cool.
like you've been I bet your life is so changed.
It is. It's more grounded now, and it's hard to talk about. But like, you know, and it's like, ooh, am I like a druggie? It's like, no, I just like, you know, I did it
No.
when I was like a kid, and
No,
and you
I
just
mean,
there's no exit plan. So
No, and honestly, not to get into it, but like what a shame that our, you know, medical system like puts people in those positions and like doesn't catch that earlier and help people wean off and, you know, like give you more support. Like that just, oh, it's so frustrating.
yeah,
But
it was, you know, but I'm glad I got out of it. But I feel much better now. But
Sounds
and
like
it's, you know, it
meditation
does have a
saved you.
purpose, I think, to
Of course,
to help
no,
people,
and
but-
medications are very good. I mean,
But
there's
you
a
know,
time and
you
place.
gotta. For me, at least, I knew like in my soul it was an end. So,
Yeah.
So then we moved on, and then you know, and then I finally felt like, oh, okay, cool. But I also felt a new connection to my projects too, and to
Yeah,
art,
how fun.
which I started developing while I was working for someone else. So
Nice. Okay,
yeah.
so you're working at the marketing agency, and then you were like, okay, I've already gotten a few murals. I know people are interested in this. So, like, what was the transition from the marketing job to then back to working for yourself?
When I was working at the marketing agency, I had some downtime. So, like there would be, you set up all these appointments, you get like them all set up, and then you have like a chunk of time. So I'm like, what am I going to do with this chunk of time? Because I kept getting these chunks, and there was a couple little side things to do for them, but not much. So I was like, well, let me like learn something. So they gave you all these like Skillshare memberships and whatnot. So I started like taking like Skillshares. I just bought an iPad, started learning how to use Procreate. And then I started being like, oh, cool. Like I could actually design like walls on this app, or I can do this. So I started doing that. And then people, and I started also just doing art. I always have done art. So I started taking photos, and some of the sets that I had done were pretty good. They weren't like terrible, but now I was a little more of like a clean and just fresh state. So I was designing really cool things, and people were like, ooh, I like that. Can I book you? So basically I would like design their walls during the week, and on the weekend I would just go and just paint these houses. So I was like working like 7 days a week, but I loved it because,
So it was mostly people's homes.
Residential, yep.
Okay.
Yep. So I was doing residential, and then because I had this like holiday window business. It was still going. So I had done Southside Social, and I painted like every single window. They were like, paint our windows. So towards like August.
I do remember that. It was so good. I mean, it still is. Yeah.
But they asked me to basically do their window, or sorry, not their windows. They asked me to like, hey, could you look at a wall at this new restaurant we're opening? So I was like, sure. So I went in there, and it was the Whiskey Cowgirl, and it was huge. And I was like, so it was really cool. And they were like, well, we have like this small wall. And I'm like, well, what are you going to do with the rest of the building? and then I just took photos and just like did designs on my iPad. And then I showed them, and they were like, oh, we like that. Go for it. So
how cool.
Yeah.
So you went from getting one little wall to getting the whole building.
Yeah, because I was just like,
it made such a splash in the city. It was awesome. It still is. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, you could make it like really cool. Like if you're gonna go like all the way, like let's go.
Let's go.
And they're like, yeah, like let's do it. And so, obviously I was working full time, so I basically would go in the morning at like 7:30, and they had a paint team, so I worked with the painters, and I just would like take like a brush and just like be like, okay, this needs to be pink, this needs to be blue, this needs to be white.
Someone would come behind you and like actually fill it in.
Yep.
Oh, that's nice.
And then at lunch, I would go run over there because I was like very close by and just make sure it was all correct.
Yeah.
And then at like 5, I'd work from like 5 to like 9 or 10 every day.
Wow.
That was for a while.
You just loved it.
I loved it.
Oh,
it
that's
was fun.
so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so in your like art journey and your creative, I mean, have you had any doubters? Like, is your family supportive of like your path and your such like creative mind? Like, how has that been?
Yeah, my family has always been super supportive of me and what I do. My mom's been super supportive as a kid. Like she'd buy me like a lot of art supplies and like just like adult art supplies as a kid. So that was fun. And my dad's been very supportive too. And just, my dad always like drilled it in me though. Like, it's like, okay, Olivia, like you got 2 options. You either marry a rich husband or like, you learn business.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and then I'm like, I can do whatever I want. And then I like got into the real world. And I'm like, yeah. All right, I got to learn business. I'm just too like much of my own person to, I think the nature of art is too, we're just kind of like,
free-spirited.
Free-spirited.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, I gotta learn business now, so I did. I studied marketing in school, so I went to school for marketing and advertising communications.
Oh, yeah, so that's perfect, and it tethers so well to what you do now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So and then I just started small and started scaling small, and then to a little bigger, and just
So how do you define your style? Like, it's so distinct and specific, which I love, and it's made such a splash in our city. Like, it's like you just know an Olivia Reckert like piece of work when you see it. It's amazing. But, was that like an organic kind of development? Is that just like how your brain works? Like, or did you kind of have like specific inspirations you really work toward? Like, tell me about that.
Well, I guess that drawing style is kind of like an impressionist style.
Yeah.
I love the strokes. I feel like too, especially now, everything's so graphic. Even
clean.
the murals are
Yes.
very graphic. Very like harsh lines, but I like the organicness of spaces. So and I don't like just painting on a wall. I like to kind of creep into like the nooks and crannies and things, and like the sides, and just that. I don't know. I've just loved impressionism. I love
That's
like
awesome.
Monet and just like French impressionism.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite. So, and I just naturally just like gesture drawings too. It's just there's a lot of lines. It's kind of it's not super perfect. It just has a lot of different angles and
More
movement.
emotion, I
Yeah.
feel like, too.
Oh, yeah.
That's so awesome. I love it. So have you ever explored different aesthetics, or do you even feel capable? Like, or are you just so like, what comes out is what comes out, and it's like this look?
Oh, that's like my look that I love to do.
Yeah.
But I can do everything. I've taken a lot of painting classes and things.
Oh,
So like
that's awesome.
Yeah, like I can do more realistic stuff. Like I have, like if you look at like my old oil paintings, they're very like classical.
So you've dabbled in a lot of.
Oh yeah.
But like, would you take a job that isn't your look, or are you like, no, this is like me, so take it or leave it?
No, I love working with clients because
Okay.
the thing too that I see it as, it's like I want what I love, I do at my house in my own time.
True.
So, but
That's
but what I love to do is kind of like take the vision of someone else that they have and bring it out. And if their place fits where it's more harsh lines and more, just kind of geometric or whatever, it's like I'm happy to do that. I'll always learn and I'll always get to explore something that I haven't done often.
Yeah.
And I just love executing as long as it looks good, which I'm obsessive about things. So I'll make sure, and it's nice too because like there's not that many artists around town, so it's like, and if you have a vision, you want to, and you can't execute yourself, I'd love to help people to get
That's
to
so
that point.
awesome. You're such a team player. I feel like I've felt that, and I've seen it when I've worked with you and just heard from others. Like, that's such a beautiful quality about you. You're not like, super competitive or catty. It's like there's plenty of room at the table. You're supportive of other artists. And and that's so wonderful.
Well, the one thing too, it's like, it's like for me, I read these like meditation cards and like affirmation cards every day, but it's like, you have to switch artists for some reason. Like it's just in like societies like this, it puts on this like scarcity mindset, like starving artists or like there's not enough, and it's really, I had to break out of that thinking like it's an abundance. I mean, if you just look around, there's a lot of walls.
There's everywhere.
And there's just like walls everywhere. Everywhere. And so it's kind of, and like I've expanded to other surfaces. So there's always things to paint. And there's always people that love art. You just have to find them and just kind of show your talent. So really, and like sometimes like other people's art will look better in a space than mine, and that's totally fine. Like a lot of my friends who are artists, like they just do totally different stuff.
And you can appreciate it. I'm sure. That's so great. What's the most like exciting project you've ever gotten?
Oh, I actually did one recently. It was, I like ones that are large. I love large projects. And two, I love ones that have like some sort of like element of surprise and just like physicality that's difficult to like, figure out. And I did this apartment building. It's right by Shady's. It's 900 East Main. And it's this huge ceiling. It's massive. And it was an interior ceiling with this huge hallway that was just like never ending. It just went so far, and it was really tall, so I had to use a scissor lift. And then there was a big underpass, carport, and I had like a certain amount of time before the building opened, and it's like, and I get up there and I start painting, and I'm like, ooh, this is going to take a while. But then you just kind of, you have the vision, you get your design approved, and then you're like, okay, how am I going to execute this? Like if you're up painting a ceiling, like
that's even just physically hard.
It's physically hard. So it's like, well, what can I do? And just like, all right, I'll wear a neck pillow. Okay, cool. I'm gonna and it actually worked. I could paint for hours at a time.
You're basically horizontal.
Yeah, you're just like this for hours. So I'd be like this like 8 hours or 6 hours, but and then also like having to break up the wall and just to like in a system. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna paint all the fish black, then I'll go in with this section, this section, and that's cool because then you can see this huge thing that you've done in like a week. And so that's those kind of
it's
projects.
A residential apartment building?
Yes, it is. It is.
So
it's cool.
Is it in a public space people can see, or it's in each individual apartment?
It's in the hallway of the first floor, but anyone can see the underpass. It's right by like Odd Story, and people would honk their horns. I'd be like in a boom lift.
I love
like,
it.
Hello.
That's so fun. A little celebrity. That's so fun. So have you turned down a project?
I feel like, let me think. Honestly, I haven't really, no. I guess right now, the only time like I'm kind of like having to say maybe next time, or like the small things.
Yeah.
Because if I have a huge wall, especially like I'm not in my house right now because it's getting
Right.
some repairs, but like people sometimes will get excited and they'll be like, hey, check out, I have this thing. So I've had to like, just because I'm not in my studio right now, and I get
Yeah.
excited about that. And usually when I have my studio, I just take it and I have like a big area with all people's stuff, and then I'll just like
Yeah.
knock it out one day. But I've had to say no to smaller projects just because I'm not in my space right now.
Yeah.
But usually like,
But it's not like you're turning down work because it's not a fit. Like you
Yeah.
said, you like a commission. You'll
I love
work
it,
with
yeah.
the person, and yeah.
so I guess
love
right
that,
now,
Olivia.
the space right now that I'm in right now, I'm kind of like a nomad. I'm just like in different
Yeah.
areas right now until my house is done.
You're like, unless the project is at your place,
Yes.
I can't do it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool. Okay.
So that's really, but no, I love working at projects. I like solving problems
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
learning. So I rarely do that. So
That's
yeah.
awesome. What's like a dream project you'd love to work on, just anywhere in life?
Oh, I like have this fascination with like hotels and like, I don't know. I also like my style kind of like hits with like the Lily Pulitzer type
Yeah.
thing. So I just thought in like, I've never been to Charleston. So like, I don't know. So something
Fun,
like maybe
okay.
like that. I don't
I
know.
love it.
But doing that like huge ceiling was kind of cool because I was like, ooh, maybe like something a little bit hotel resort like
Yeah.
boutique hotel. So that's kind of where I'm like thinking about. It's
That's
the-
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What do you feel like you've learned about yourself, like in this season of growth, and especially since, you were able to get off medications, and like what have been kind of some of the revelations about yourself?
I've realized that I'm like a very driven person, and I guess too, just being an entrepreneur, it's like I've realized that like I can, it's very difficult, but I am willing. I just have that in me and I'll always be okay, So it's like I can kind of figure it out wherever I'm at, which is interesting. Because when I came here, I knew one person. Like I came here with one
Wow.
person, and it was COVID. So it's like, I just like, so
And now
I'm-
you're so connected. Like everyone knows your name.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
So I guess that like I can trust that like between my work and like just myself, like I'll be all right. So and that's
Yeah.
very because then that helps me keep going, and just even when things get difficult, it's like okay, I don't get too riled up because I'm like I can make it happen. I'll figure it out.
You've made
So-
it through worse, And
Yeah.
sometimes as terrible as those times were, getting through it and knowing you can overcome it is like beautiful, because then you
Oh,
have
yeah.
this like new confidence. Yeah.
Yeah, it is that groundedness and that confidence and knowing
Yeah.
like this will pass, it's a wave.
I'm good.
And
Yeah.
then, and just kind of sit with it for a minute and then figure it out. And
Wow.
so, yeah.
That's awesome. Where does your like you've referenced meditation a few times. Like where does your kind of, who introduced you to that? Or like did you grow up around that? Like what got you into meditation?
Well, I for some reason, I don't know. I have like this deck of like, it's like I started listening to the Lewis Howes podcast. It's a great podcast. It's one of my favorites. When I was working in sports marketing, he came to the office because he was good friends with my boss at the time.
Cool.
And he was, they're like cat sitters. So like, and it was like a long time ago. This was like in 2013, so he just was starting out, and I was like, he's like, yeah, check out my podcast. So I started listening to his podcast, and like he would farm out like all these, or he'd have all these amazing guests on his show, and then one of them had this like program, like you got to rewrite your brain with like cards, and you got to read them all the time, and just like sit for a few minutes. So I started doing that when I was in New York, because it's also a very chaotic city.
Yeah.
So I kind of like ground myself a bit, and and I wrote like all these things that I wanted to do, and like this stuff, like I also was making no money, and I was like in New York, like in college and stuff, so
Yeah.
like, these things seem very lofty, but I had like a 5-year plan and a 3-year plan and a 10-year
Wow.
plan, and I'd read them. I think I created the deck in 2018. I still have it. It's in my bag, but like I read it every day, but a lot of that stuff has happened because like
I love that. That's
and it's-
amazing.
yeah, it's cool. And then it's just kind of like, it's just reminders. So I just kind of like framed how I want to live my life, and like what is important, and like to slow down, to get ahead, and all these different things. And I add to my deck 'cause it's like, it's pretty fat. But yeah, I just started doing that based off a podcast. And then I've like met people along the way who's also, talk about meditation, how great it is.
Yeah.
So, and then I hired like a girl who I used to go to high school with. I hired her, and we talked about a lot of stuff, and she said, yeah, you need to meditate and things will come to you. So then I started doing that, and it did. It just like hit me, and I'm like, and it's not like meditate. I'm not like super spiritual doing stuff. It's literally just sitting with yourself.
And like literally giving your time, giving your mind the time to start like speaking. Yeah, because I feel like I can resonate with that. Like I run really rampant and I just like to be busy and I'm go, go, go. And that's what fuels me. But I noticed that I very seldom, unless I like intentionally sit and do some sort of meditation. Yeah, it's like I don't even know what my inner thoughts are. Like I'm just filling it with too much outer stuff. So yeah, that's amazing. Okay, let's talk about kind of you've mentioned like how open you are to client commissions, which I think is beautiful. Have you ever been in a situation where you and the client started having creative differences and you were like already into the project? Like how did you handle that?
Oh yeah, sometimes. Yeah, that happens. I think now my creative process is like front heavy. So whether like they'll kind of see what they're getting ahead of time through my designs and things. So that doesn't happen as much, but it definitely happens sometimes. And basically like how I see clients, it's like, you're inviting me into your space and we kind of like figure out like who's going to be in the space, who are, what do you want to accomplish? Because I love marketing, so it's like I like to dial it in analytically. Yeah. So it's like, well, who's going to be here? Like what age? What and it's like, what do you want to communicate to them? And then how do you want to feel in this space?
Right.
And so sometimes when we do something, like it also, you really can't like you can plan, but sometimes the feeling's just slightly off, and it's like they're going to live there and they're going to be there and do business there. So it's like whether it's your home or your business, it's like, this is your space. I'm just helping, you.
Awesome.
So definitely, like, it's kind of like a suit. Like, I'm making a custom suit for you, and if it's a little snug or a little off, we gotta fix it.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It's not like I'm like carving or like doing. It's like paint. So like
you can paint over it.
Yeah,
that is so true.
You can tweak things, even with color or whatever. So it's actually very easy, and I don't get like, and it's also just learning. So there's no like for me, it's like there's no like difficult situation. It's just a situation. It's like, all right, cool. What did we learn? How can we, pivot?
Yeah.
And, and I like doing that.
That's so beautiful. I mean, I'm sure you know this, but I just hope you know that is rare. I feel like artists can be very ego-driven and very, stubborn and one-dimensional with how they want to execute things. And I think it's so beautiful. It's like, I can tell you have a marketing background because part of marketing is like that sales piece and like working with a client. And it's just, that is such a beautiful balance that you have in your mind, that you're so creative and artistic, but yet you can like really work with a person and you're not too married to what you love, So,
oh yeah. So that's just
really awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's my philosophy. I mean, if I paint something for me and I look at it at my house, like that's
one thing.
That's one
thing.
You
get to do whatever you want. That's true. And I think that's beautiful. Like I think a lot of people in a craft, even for myself, I love certain creative outlets, but I just don't allow myself to do them just for fun that much anymore because I have a busy career. But I think that's such a lesson we can learn from you is like keep doing it just for yourself. Like just do what brings you joy and don't have to answer to a client. I think that's really beautiful.
Exactly. Like I do this practice too where I like make something for me. Like I would wake up early and just make something for myself. And then I get that off
that's so great.
For everyone else, So
I love it. That's
it is
amazing.
important too. So yeah.
Okay, so to kind of tie things up, like what would you say to someone who's wanting to quit a full-time, maybe like more steady career job and they want to pursue their passion, whether it's art or something else? Like what would be your advice?
You definitely plan ahead. Like, whether you have a partner that's very supportive, that's a great option because if you have insurance and things tied to that person, like that will be easier and that's great. I'm too, like, I just couldn't do that. So the second route is harder, but like still like just like builds it on the side. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. I think that is like the number one like pitfall. You'll end up like hating it. And some people are just like, just do what you want. No, don't do that. Have a plan and also just be very realistic. So if you do have another person and you're gonna like plan, get your stuff together, there's a little more wiggle room. I feel like maybe, but because I've been in that situation and it has some pros and cons, but if you're just on your own, like you got to get very clear, because like also you just got to be realistic with the numbers. So
Totally.
it's like, what are your goals? Like, do you want to buy a house? Because that is going to be, you know, its own thing
Yes.
with loans. So, or are you happy like renting, or do you want to like how much money do you actually want to make? Like, what's your
Yeah.
lifestyle? So if you get
Yeah.
clear with that, then you're
Totally.
able to actually be like, you know what, this is a really cool side hustle, but the lifestyle I want to live, it's not going to align.
Interesting.
So I'd say get clear with yourself. If like you're willing to be like, okay, cool, the numbers work out, I'm going to do this, then do it. But
Yeah.
also, I have like a competitive type, like aggressive, not aggressive,
Spirit.
but like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like I like
The challenge.
the
Yeah.
challenge. I
Yeah.
do. I love it. I like it. Would like it destroys some people. I love it. I love like the hunt. I love finding the
Yes.
wall. I like all that.
you're a door knocker.
I am.
Yeah, love that.
I'll bust. I'm just like, I like to creep around. Like I'm not like a creep, but like I like to like, you know, like know
You
what's
see
going
a place
on.
you want to work on, and you're gonna go get it. It seems
Yeah,
like, which
yeah.
is so
you know, a lot of
cool.
them come to me now, which is cool.
Which
but
is
like,
great, yeah.
you kind of have to have that edge to go to people
Yeah,
and like
put
make it
yourself out
happen.
there.
It doesn't happen overnight, but like if you're not that person, then like you know you gotta have a plan B. Like you know, get like
Right.
an SEO, like marketing, or like you know
figure
website.
out someone you're going to hire who is going to be like
Yes.
that, and you're just more the executor. I think that's so true. It's like a personality type. I love what you said about lifestyle and your dreams, because like you mentioned, you know, if you want to buy a house, like when you work for yourself, you have to show like proof of
Yes.
income, and leaving a job can get messy, and even like insurance. Like there's
Yep.
so many implications that I think we want to just feel like as entrepreneur spirits, like I'm just gonna do it and it's gonna come, and it's like not always, you know.
Yep.
And you hate to just like crush a dream because you didn't do some of that work and like make the business plan and like actually be smart about it.
Yep.
So I think that's so,
Yeah.
again, we have this like incredibly talented artist with this like beautiful business brain. I just think you're amazing.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
so
you.
great. Okay, lastly, Olivia, I want you to fill in the blank. The heart of your art is.
Heart of my art is like joy and just like I think inspiration. Like I hope to inspire businesses. I love working with businesses, so I feel like the heart of my art is just joy for people's spaces and
So
for them to
true.
love it. So whether it's your business, I just want you to feel joyful when you're in there,
So true.
or in your home. I want just joy in your space and just ownership of your space. Everything's beige right now, which is fine, but you know,
Yeah,
I
beige
think
culture.
yeah, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But I think too, there's other people who like other things, and if you can customize things, that just brings you joy.
So great.
If I can help them, that's awesome.
You
So,
are nailing the joy in a space. I
Thanks.
can tell you for sure. And thank you so much for everything you shared, and
Sweet.
your bravery for sharing your journey. And thanks so much for being here.
Thank
You're
you.
awesome.